I'm going to call this meeting of the City Council to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Warsami is absent. Councilmember Goodman.
Present.
Frey.
Here.
Palmisano is absent. Gordon is absent. Kano is absent. Reich.
Here.
Bender.
Here.
Glidden.
Here.
Yang.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Quincy.
Here.
President Johnson.
Here.
There are 9 members present.
We have a quorum present. Councilmember Warsami will not be joining us as he is ill. Next, we have the reports of the Councilmember Gordon has joined us. We have and Councilmember Palmisano. We have the reports of the standing committees first. The first is Committee of the Whole, and that is chaired by the Council Vice President Elizabeth Glidden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only item before us today is approval of the 2017 City Council and Standing Committees calendar with associated actions. I'll move that item for approval.
Councilmember Glidden has moved the Committee of the Whole report, the calendar. I want to thank the clerk's office for a very deliberate process, including everyone. And we have a few changes in our calendar that people thought would work better with schedules. So thank you very much for all the work on that. I know it's a challenge. Clerk, call the roll on the Committee of the Whole report.
Councilmember Goodman.
Aye.
Frey.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 11 ayes.
That report is adopted. Next, we have Community Development and Regulatory Services. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Madam President. Councilmember Frey will be giving our report today since he chaired the committee.
Okay, Councilmember Frey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 10 items on the agenda to be moved forward. Item number 1 is property assessed clean energy financing for 3800 Nicollet Avenue South. Item number 2, which is a gambling license for St. Louis Park Hockey Boosters, Bunny's Bar and Grill Northeast, was moved forward from committee without recommendation. I'm going to pull that item, which is number 2. Number 3 is a liquor license for Red Savoy. 4 is a series of liquor and gambling liquor applications, licenses. Number 5 is operating condition for Kwan's Chinese. Number 6 is a stipulated agreement for 17 to 1719 26th Avenue North. 7 is a series of applications for environmental grant funding from Met Council, Hennepin County, as well as Deed. And that's item number 7, 1, 2, and 3. Item number 8 is amending Fairview Health Services bonds. 9 is 2015 Emergency Solutions Grant, and 10 is an amendment to our property assessed clean energy financing. I'm happy to stand for any questions, and I will move items number, all items with the exception of item number 2.
Councilmember Frey has moved the Community Development Regulatory Services report, all items except item 2. Did you wish to refer that back to committee then?
Actually, Council President, no, I do not,
Okay.
and I'll just
You
give
got
a
a
brief
motion.
explanation.
All right, then let's act on, take a vote on items 1 through, 1, skipping 2 through 10. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Goodman.
Aye.
Frey.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye,
There are 11 ayes.
those items are adopted. On item 2, Councilmember Frey.
Thank you, Madam President. So for item number 2, the ordinance is the issue that we did not move it forward is the vast majority of the charitable proceeds are not going to Minneapolis, rather they're going to St. Louis Park Hockey. So we were going to try and see whether we can get more of the funds devoted to Minneapolis. However, our ordinance involving charitable gambling does not allow us to, there's nothing in there about a requirement that there be a certain number of Minneapolis residents. So what I'm going to do is move it forward for this year. I think there's probably a need for the ordinance itself to be changed so that we can have more Minneapolis kids that actually benefit from this. So I'm going to move it forward for this year, but I would like to work with Bunnies as well as, and I know Councilmember Reich will as well, to make sure that our kids are benefiting from the charities.
So
I will move.
Councilmember Frey has moved item 1 forward for action. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Goodman.
Aye.
Frey.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 11 ayes.
That item is adopted. Next, we have the Intergovernmental Relations Committee, and that committee is chaired by the Council Vice President Elizabeth Glidden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are two items. The first is a response to the FERC notice of availability of draft environmental assessment for Crown Mill hydroelectric project. And the second is a contract with Faegre BD Consulting for federal representation services. I'll move both items for approval.
Councilmember Glidden has moved the Intergovernmental Relations Report. Any discussion on those items? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Goodman.
Aye.
Frey.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 11 ayes.
That report is adopted. Next, we have Public Safety, Civil Rights, and Emergency Management. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Yang.
Thank you, Madam President. Today we have 8 items for approval. The first item is a public accommodations anti-discrimination resolution by Councilmember Warsami. The second item is a travel expense donation acceptance from the Police Executive Research Forum. Third item is a travel expense donation acceptance from the Jewish Community Relations Council. Fourth item is a travel expense donation acceptance from the National Initiative for Building Community Trust and Justice, the John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Fifth item is a MOU with the Arts Institute International, Minnesota. Sixth item is a grant acceptance from the Minnesota Department of Public Safety, Homeland Security, and Emergency Management Division for the Urban Area Security Initiative Grant. Seventh item is a contract with Foresight Consulting to provide comprehensive emergency operations center exercise services. The eighth item is a MOU with ATF, and I will move all 8 items for approval.
Councilmember Yang has moved to the Public Safety, Civil Rights, and Emergency Management Report. Anyone want to pull anything off or discuss any of those items? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Goodman.
Aye.
Frey.
All aye on all items, abstain on 2.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 11 ayes in the report except for number 2, which has 10 ayes and 1 abstention.
Those reports are adopted. Next, we have Transportation and Public Works. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Reich.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee forwards 16 items today. Item 1 is the water sewer service line repair and replacement assessments. Item 2 is the occupancy permit agreement with the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railway. Item 3 is the Cedar Avenue Bridge over the Midtown Greenway Replacement Project layout approval. Item 4 is the Portland Avenue Bridge over Midtown Greenway Replacement Project layout approval. Item 5 is the appeal of the denial of an encroachment permit for balconies over the public right-of-way at 357th Avenue. And that's denying that appeal and adopting staff findings. Item 6 is a non-governmental tax-exempt parcel streetlight operation fee assessment, designating the setting of the public hearing for that November 7th of this year. Item 7 is the non-governmental tax-exempt parcel street maintenance assessments, also a designation of the public hearing for November 7th of this year. Item 8 is the 2016 statewide multimodal transportation plan comments that will be submitted by staff. Item 9 is the 2016 20-year Minnesota State Highway Investment Plan comments, again, something that's submitted by staff. Item 10 is all for further items are referred to Ways and Means. Item 10 is the Metropolitan Council Municipal Infiltration Infil Grant, acceptance of a grant for the amount listed. Item 11 is the Bassett Creek Main Stem Erosion Repair Project funding agreement, and that's a funding agreement with Bassett Creek Watershed Management Organization. Item 12 is the Nicollet Mall Street Reconstruction Project assessment reduction for the amount and area listed. Item 13 is the PV Plaza Revitalization Project, and its amendment to the project management agreement with Conurbation LLC for the services that they're providing. Item 14 is the Franklin Bridge Avenue agreement with MnDOT for a bicycle counter. Item 15 is the 2017-2020 Minneapolis Public Works Consulting Pool. There's a list attached. And the final item is a bid for the Fridley Softening Cone Expansion Joint Project, and that's accepting a low bid for that work. Madam President, I move all items as submitted.
Councilmember Reich has moved the Transportation and Public Works report. Any discussion on any of those items? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Goodman.
Aye.
Frey.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 11 ayes.
That report is adopted. Next, we have the Ways and Means Report. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam President. Ways and Means has 11 items for your consideration this morning. The first two are agreements and agreement amendments. One's with the Joint Powers Agreement between the city and the state and the Department of Public Safety, Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, as well as the Minnesota Court for Data Services. Item number 3 is a grant acceptance from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. 4 is a contract amendment with Construction Results Corporation. This is a contract closeout for a project at the Convention Center. Items 5, 6, and 7 are acceptance of low bids for various projects at the Convention Center or Target Center. Number 8 is of interest is the 2016 Property Tax Special Assessment of Delinquent Utility Charges. 9 and 10 are refunding of general obligation tax increment bonds at the Midtown Exchange, as well as Block E. And then the final item is the contract termination with Ardent Technologies. I'd like to move all 11 items for approval.
Councilmember Quincy has moved the Ways and Means Report. Any discussion on any of those items? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Goodman.
Aye.
Fry.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 11 ayes.
That report is adopted. Next, we have the Zoning Planning Committee report. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Bender.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 7 items from Zoning and Planning. Item number 1 is denying an appeal for a conditional use permit variances and site plan review for 1501 Como Avenue Southeast. Item number 2 is approving an application for an interim use permit at 4640 Lindale Avenue North for a temporary bus garage and maintenance facility for a very short time until June of 2017. Item number 3 is approving an application for an interim use permit for a temporary concrete, asphalt, and rock crushing facility at 2 Dowling Avenue North just until the end of November. Item number 4 is approving an application for a rezoning from 3454 33rd Avenue South to allow for a legally non-conforming duplex to add an accessory dwelling unit. Item number 5 is approving a rezoning at 2444 Logan Avenue North to establish rights for an existing 4-unit building. Item number 6 is approving an application for a right-of-way vacation on 32nd Avenue. And item number 7 is passage of an ordinance amending our code related to snow storage. And I will move all 7 items.
Councilmember Bender has moved the Zoning and Planning report. Any discussion on any of those items? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Goodman.
Aye.
Fry.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Bender.
Aye.
Glidden.
Aye.
Yang.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Quincy.
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That report is adopted, and let the record reflect we've been joined by Councilmember Kano. Next, we have let's see, introduction and referral calendar. First item is a housekeeping ordinance related to the MCDA. Councilmember Goodman moves pursuant to notice to introduce the subject matter of an ordinance amending the code relating to planning and development, repealing chapters with obsolete fees and type entities and programs, and updating the chapter. Any discussion on that introduction? Seeing none, all in approval say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Next, we have resolutions, and we have one resolution, and it is the 2016 Kids Voting Resolution, Kids Voting Minneapolis Resolution. Councilmember Quincy would like to speak to that.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm pleased to bring this resolution for our attention this morning. This is almost annual, but certainly on election cycles, resolution that the city is able to support Kids Voting Minneapolis, and appreciate the Communications Department this year, as well as the great work of our Elections Department, and all of my council colleagues who have included information in their newsletters about recruiting polling precinct volunteers for kids voting. It's a terrific opportunity for the kids to experience the election process, and it's going very well. There's still time to have more included as volunteers in this program and want to encourage people to continue to participate. But I know a number of our high schools are sending representatives to those programs, and that's because of the work that we've all done together to bring awareness to this program. So I just wanted to thank you for your support and consideration.
Any discussion on the resolution? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that carries. Under new business, Councilmember Goodman gives a notice of intent to introduce at the next meeting of the City Council the subject matter of an ordinance amending the code relating to the food code, amending provisions related to requirements for obtaining a food license. That notice is given. Item 2, Councilmember Wright gives notice of intent at the next meeting of the City Council to introduce the subject matter of an ordinance amending the code relating to the zoning code, allowing live theater in industrial districts. That notice is given. And on item 3, we have a authorizing the commencement of a civil lawsuit against Nick Mageros and any other necessary related or responsible parties to enforce the city's legal and equitable rights or remedies to recover amounts paid by the city to a former city employee pursuant to the workers' comp statute. Any discussion on that authorization? Seeing none, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Announcements, any announcements this morning? No announcements. Seeing none, then, a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
Moved and seconded, all in approval say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.